The path is along an overgrown ridge with trees on the top and a lot of vegetation down the side, and it came to a drop off where it suddenly went from being a nice slope to being a very, very steep cliff face. So you don't realize how steep it is until you begin to rappel down. At that point we realized that to continue the rescue at night in the dark was just going to be a little bit risky.
Hi, I'm Sean.
And I'm Ross.
And we are part of the rescue team for ACT. I saw a post on Facebook. There was a guy called Steve, and he and his girlfriend Phoebe had been walking their dogs up a small mountain, not realizing that it was actually the edge of a cliff. They just let their dog off leash momentarily. She disappeared. So we called the guy and we said, look, we're an animal rescue organisation and this is what we do. Although this is quite a unique rescue for us, we do have the equipment and some experience that can go down and look for his dog. And he was very happy to hear that.
I thought it was important that we got to the dog as fast as possible because we didn't really want her to spend a night out on the edge of a cliff.
We didn't know what the situation was other than she was stuck down the side of a cliff. We jumped in our cars, went home, got everything ready and raced down to the spot where the missing dog was. The dog was called Beans. It's a big local breed, about 40 kilograms. We got to the spot where we were told Beans had gone over and we found Steve and a couple of his buddies were there and they'd already set up some ropes and they were going down this slope to look for Beans. They could hear her barking, but because she was in this kind of half bowl shape of cliff, the echo sometimes would make it sound like she was over there, sometimes from over there. We could hear other things that made us believe she was fairly close to the spot where she had gone over. But when we arrived, she'd been quiet for quite a long time. So Ross set up his equipment.
We set up the ropes, I went down, and it was in the dark and you couldn't really see anything at that time. But this time it was nearly 1 a.m. so it was a little bit hard to find out where she actually was. We couldn't see her. We decided to wait until first light the next day.
Sunrise was around 5:30. On his way back up, a rock came loose and tumbled past Ross and we could hear it crashing, and that's when we all knew that that was quite a drop. We could hear the dog barking. We were able to triangulate to get a very good idea of her exact location. So we went down to the base to see if we could climb up, but the foliage was too thick, the climb was too steep.
The rappel down off the ridge was fairly steep to begin with. I'd only gone down a little bit, not that much further, maybe another 10 meters or so, and there I could see her smiling at me. She looked fine. She was moving around, but she was trapped in a landslide area. There had been some rock falls there. Past the point where she had stopped, it dropped off again, this time even more steeply. She had a very small ledge to move around on.
Luckily, she was already wearing kind of a harness backpack with a handle on it.
So I was able to attach the rope to the top of her. We were going to need help from her because it's a very big dog. But if we could apply some force, we could get her moving in the right direction.
And luckily she wasn't badly hurt.
The first thing we tried to do was just pull her up, but she was far too big. There was no chance of carrying her. I tied the second rope to the dog's backpack, climbed all the way back up to the top, and we set up a pulley system so that when I rappelled back down, the dog would come back up the other way. So I was acting as a counterweight, and she helped along the way.
I kept clambering up.
Go Beans!
And then I got the message, we've got her. And I drove back to the car park where Phoebe was still waiting and I said, they've got her. And I showed her the picture and she was just so happy. It was a long rescue, but it was a great one because the dog was unharmed and it was a very happy ending. So this was a really nice one for us that we could just help some people. I mean, that's why we do these things, and seeing Beans bouncing around, thankfully unhurt and blissful to be back with her mum and dad again was all the reward that we ever want.
Hello. Hello, did you have a good time?